And then we're on to Therapeutic Thursday. So if you looked in your medicine cabinet, we want to talk about first aid kits and an emotional first aid kit. Because in your medicine cabinet, you have all kinds of things to help with first aid, but you're not really going to be able to find anything there for the emotional medicine that can help with trauma. And this is very prevalent throughout our community. And since we can't see emotional issues, we tend to ignore having an emotional first aid kit. But this is so important, but it's always very individualized. Like what works for me may not work for you, or what works for me may work for you in a modified way. The best thing that you can do, though, is look at all the different ways that people have used, different techniques that people have used for emotional first aid. So there is an article that's attached here that explains that when we become overwhelmed with any type of stress, including health-related trauma, you may go into a hyper-alert state, perhaps first freezing and then feeling intense energy flooding your body as the fight or flight response kicks in. Fearful or blaming thoughts might arise, perhaps along with an urgent, I must fix this now. What I have found personally is that I have a mental reaction and a physical reaction at the same time. It's not just one or the other. And when your fight or flight energy can't get you away or remove you from the problem, your body might go into an actual shutdown. And that's what my mind shuts down, is what I have found. Your mind may feel like it's going elsewhere, and you might feel numb or flat or like you're shrinking or collapsing. But these are 22. There's a list of 22 different ways here of things that you should put in your emotional first aid kit. I mean, you can even just take a picture of this and put it on your phone, that you could go back, and if you know you're going into to have a CT scan, or you're going into the doctors for some test results, like take a picture of this and refer to it. I know I recently had to go, so I had breast cancer right before my aortic dissection, and I found what I thought was a swollen lymph node recently in the beginning of May. And like, I know that I cannot go to a doctor's appointment, an important doctor's appointment, where I don't know what's going to happen without a family member. So on this particular day, I took my daughter. I did not medicate. I didn't take anything for any anxiety. I was pretty sure, I was being positive that things were going to go well. I had my little paper that we had to do an ultrasound, and I get in there, and the lady says that she's going to do an ultrasound of my stomach, not the lymph gland that we were worried about. And I just went blank, and I looked at my daughter, and the last words I remember is saying, "You need to help me." I don't remember anything after that. I remember getting in the car, and that's it. Because as soon as something went wrong, even though it wasn't like a physical thing, I just went blank. I felt helpless, and here we go again, and I just blank out. So I know personally, I can't go to any doctor's appointment like that, or any procedure without a family member to back me up. But I do the grounding. I've been here before where I've told you guys, I use my fingers to and breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And I just do this until I can calm myself down. And I also find that if I can look at somebody that I trust, I don't know why, but if I can look at my daughter's face, if I can look at my husband's face, sometimes it's even been a nurse, like when I've had biopsies done. There's this one particular nurse that's in my oncologist office, and I trust her immensely. And she'll they bring her in, I stare at her face, because they won't let family members in during certain procedures. If I stare at her face, I'm able to ground myself. So find out what works for you, and don't be afraid to implement it and ask for it. My daughter wasn't supposed to go back with me, and I said to them, I didn't say I have PTSD, because people kind of scoff when you say that. And I just said, I have a history of blanking out when things don't go as expected. So I need to have a family member with me, and they made it happen. So sometimes you have to put yourself out there. But this is a great article. And think about having a first aid kit for your mental health. It's very, very important.